Rumors are that allegedly Porsha is once again being a bad friend to Shamea. What's going on? I have some new information that may answer that question and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk? And welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified, so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. All right, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about. And it centers around rumors that once again, Porsha is allegedly being a bad friend to Shamea. What's going on? I have some new information that may answer that question and more. And here it goes. Rumors are that Porsha is being a fake friend once again to Shamea. The source continued, Porsha has always been envious of Shamea and her personal successes. Many people forget that it was Candy who brought Shamea onto the Real Housewives of Atlanta show from behind the scenes, and not Porsha. Porsha and Shamea only connected through their youth and love for the Atlanta nightlife scene. Other than that, said the source, their friendship has been very superficial and seems to only benefit Shamea, ultimately through her role as a friend of the show on Real Housewives of Atlanta. However, things are changing, and with rumors that Shamea will be joining Real Housewives of Atlanta next season as a peach holder, fans think that Porsha is allegedly trying to sabotage Shamea's come-up. But how? By allegedly using Shamea's husband as a tactic to scare her away from filming. The source explains into further details. Over the last several weeks, multiple bot/fake IG and Twitter accounts have been suggesting/commenting under Simon-related posts that people should start looking into Gerald, Shamea's husband's past financial and business transactions, including potential shady business partners. Now, why is this important? Well, said the source, Shamea's husband is notoriously private about his personal and especially his business life. One of the reasons why Shamea had to decline a peach several seasons ago. So, if a person wanted to block Shamea from joining Real Housewives of Atlanta, potentially exposing their husband's life to public investigations, it is sure to be a tactic that would work. Now, is Porsha behind this? It's hard to tell, said the source. However, the use of bots is an old housewife trick to help change unfavorable narratives to help benefit their image. But for now, it seems Porsha's hands are clean, and it may be the work of an overzealous Porsha fan who is simply doing too much. Now, kinfolk, this is a rumor that has been talked about kind of like behind the scenes for a while. And I say a while since Porsha and Simon first announced their divorce. So it makes perfectly good sense as to why fans will start to think something is suspicious about the way this is being brought and publicized to the public. Now, the first part of this rumor that is very interesting is this. I thought it was very odd that these comments, because I saw a couple of these comments, like 1 and 2. I found it very odd that these comments were being left under Simon-related posts. And it just seems as if that the person who was doing it, right, was really trying to deflect from Simon's own, like, potential deportation and scam-like issues, and trying to deflect the attention off of him onto someone else. But then I find it very odd as to why people may have thought this was Porsha. Maybe early on when they first got divorced and we didn't know all the details behind the divorce. But I found it very odd that people thought that it would have been Porsha who may have been, you know, or someone on Porsha's team leaking this information. However, the fact that it was placed on a Simon-related post, it makes you want to think, like, could it have been him trying to deflect attention off of him to another Nigerian or wealthy businessman who he feels like is his competition. So that whole part of it was very interesting to me, especially knowing that, the real reason why Porsha and Simon apparently called it quits. And so it seems as if Porsha would not be trying to protect his personal image or his personal brand by doing all of this with these fake accounts and these bots. So kinfolk, that is the first part of this rumor that I find very interesting, to say the least, because these alleged comments were made under Simon related posts. Now, kinfolk, the next part of this rumor, I can see how it could benefit Porsha, but it has a lot to do with as to why people think that Porsha may have been behind these very slick comments on social media in terms of IG, Facebook, and Twitter. And it's this. The only thing I think this benefits Porsha, right? And as if you are to believe the rumors that that allegedly is someone who is close to their camp who's doing this. If you are to believe that rumor, the only thing I can see it benefiting, or the only way I can see it benefiting Porsha, is that it keeps Shamea off the show from overshadowing her, right? It's like, okay, you see Shamea and you see Porsha. Both are very beautiful, successful women. But when you look at Shamea comes off much more of a go-getter. Someone who is aspirational to like real everyday women. You know what I mean? Like Porsha lives a very glamorous lifestyle that a lot of women like, but don't necessarily feel like it's attainable. And especially the way in which she's obtaining this type of lifestyle. But for Shamea, you have a woman who is a loving wife, who has a loving husband, beautiful family, very successful, very financially well taken care of, but she's still out there being a go-getter and getting it herself and making her own money. And I can see why Porsha wouldn't want that type of person on camera or on Real Housewives of Atlanta kind of competing with her for that like image or that narrative or that particular brand of being a woman who's going out there and working hard and getting it herself. That's the only thing I can see as to benefit Porsha not having Shamea on the show. But on the opposite side of that, it seems like Porsha would want Shamea on the show because Shamea is one of Porsha's like hardest defenders, right? She defends Porsha left and right and left and always has her back. That's why when people were saying that it could have been Porsha behind this, I just didn't really see how that would, be the case, because I feel like having Shamea on the show is better for Porsha than not having Shamea on the show. Now, kinfolk, the last part of this rumor has to do with it has to do with Shamea's husband, and it has to do with like this whole thing of investigating his business practices. And it's this. For all intent and purposes, we know Shamea's husband to be a very stand-up guy. I mean, you don't get much stand-up than that. And also, he is a very private person, and we have talked about it. Other blogs have mentioned and written about it. And he's a very private person because, he, unlike Simon, is a very serious businessman. He is about his money and his business and his legacy. And I can see why he's very private. Just because someone is private doesn't mean they're doing nefarious things behind the scenes. Just because a person is private with their business life and with their careers and their money doesn't mean that they're running scams or anything. If anything, they're trying to protect their business, their careers, and the things they have worked extremely hard for. Because people like Gerald do have something to lose if things tend to go wrong in their personal lives. So I could see why he would not want Shamea on a reality TV show, especially during points in time in his career when he was really working hard to make a name for himself. And honestly, if this was a tactic that you could see Porsha using, I think it's probably the best tactic to use, is to kind of scare him away from wanting to film, simply because he doesn't want to mess up anything he's worked very hard to build. And so that's one thing I hate about where this Housewives franchise has gone, and all Housewives franchises actually over the Bravo universe, is that they get too personal. They get too personally investing in storylines and plots to try to take people down, to where they kind of forget that these are real people with real lives. The second biggest thing I can think of is when Giselle made that insidious claim against Candace's husband, and it was kind of like, why would you say those things about Chris? You know he's a stand-up guy. We know he's to be a stand-up guy. But you say those things just to create this storyline, this narrative, to give you something to talk about and something to exploit. And at the end of the day, you forget that this is a real man with a real life and a real career and real family. And that is something that you really shouldn't play around in real time. But kinfolk, I want to know what you guys think. If you are to believe this rumor that allegedly someone is trying to scare Shamea and her husband away from filming Real Housewives of Atlanta, do you think that Porsha could be behind it? Do you think Simon could be behind it? Or do you think what I'm thinking is probably just this overzealous Porsha fan who is simply doing too much? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, kinfolk, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys over in the next one. Peace.